Well, what's your name?
Jason Carnett.
Jason. It's good to meet you. Say that, but I've obviously met you before.
Yeah.
What was your last week of addiction like? In addiction.
Okay, so I had a little bit of recovery. I dipped my toe in it, you know what I mean? And I had a relapse. I was out for a year. My last week, I was shooting meth like 4 or 5 days, and I took a bunch of nerve pills and then done some Subutex. And I was at my job, right? I was washing dishes, and I like fell out, and like there's a bunch of servers around me, and it scared them half to death. And they kind of were like, "We're not making you go, but you know, we want you to get clean, you know." And at that point, I was just so miserable, you know. I was tired of just feeling like I was alone, feeling like I was not part of anything. And I was just sick of all the stuff I had going on at the time.
Yeah, I can relate fully to that isolating feeling internally for sure, and physically. But you said that you were tired of not only feeling like physically the way that you were, but then also the being not connected to anything.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I was blocked off from people and from God, from my spiritual life. I was putting needles in my arm hoping I would die, like hoping it'd kill me. You know what I mean? I was living in a motel room by myself, just at the lowest point at my life. And I thought that, you know, if I would just get a job and have a place to stay, that I could, you know, manage drugs successfully. You know what I'm saying? I thought if I stayed away from certain things for a period of time, that I could, you know, continue to use a little bit here and there and not, you know,
fall into it.
Yeah, completely, you know, burn my life down.
Yeah. So that was like the idea that you went into the first time you went into recovery, you were exposed to it?
Yeah.
You were just kind of looking for the moment that you could, or you felt like you were ready to only get high on the weekends or something?
Yeah.
Nice. So what did that look like? What did that first little, like, that relapse look like in the beginning?
Well, I thought that if I wasn't, you know, putting meth in my veins or, you know, eating nerve pills all the time, that I could, you know, smoke weed or drink every now and then, or even take Suboxone if it was prescribed, because it's prescribed to me, you know what I mean? And it wasn't ever enough. You know what I mean? Like
the amount was never enough, or the feeling was
the feeling. Like I would get bored with it. You know, I was looking for, you know,
one thing.
For one thing, yeah.
So that last week you fall out at your job.
Mm-hmm.
What like did you just pass out, dehydrated, or was it?
I think I'd been up too long, and where I took the Klonopins, like I was just out of it. I don't really remember much of it at all.
Nice. So what did they sent you home or whatever, and like you need to tighten up? What did you do?
I went home and went to sleep. And I woke up the next day, and my boss, he's like, "Man, if you want," like I had, you know, some stuff at this motel room. He's like, "If you want me to hold your stuff for you, you know, I will, and we'll take you to detox." And I went and I bought like an 8-ball of meth and took all the Klonopins I had, and then the next day I went to Turning Point.
Wow.
Yeah.
So one last little.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So when you got to Turning Point, where you had been exposed to recovery resources and recovery before, was there anything different other than it being your second time around? But was there anything different within you internally, or just mentally?
Yeah, I was truly over it. I knew without a shadow of a doubt that if I put one substance in my body, no matter what it is, that it's going to lead me. It might not be as dramatic as like people are like, "Oh, I smoke a joint and I'll be under a bridge later at night with a needle in my arm," but eventually it happened that way. You know, I feel fortunate that I didn't, you know, lose my job and all like my possessions, because last time I come into recovery resources, I had just gotten out of prison, and I didn't have anything, you know, and I'd kind of built my life up and I got a good job. And, you know, fortunately I didn't lose everything again, you know.
Yeah. So you got to maintain something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would also feel fortunate about that. How long did you do in prison?
I was incarcerated a total of 3.5 years, but I was in prison for 2.
What was that like for you?
It sucked. I was at Trasdale Turner.
Which is a CCA camp for profit.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was dangerous. I was a drug addict in prison, so it was a dangerous life. And I'm not gang affiliated or nothing like that. And I really had to know how to move. You know what I mean? To survive, pretty much.
So you kind of brought the same behaviors and patterns that you brought with you.
Yeah. There was no rehabilitation or recovery or nothing like that in there.
Yeah. No connection. No,
nothing.
So what are you finding today that you appreciate about your life, or maybe things you're seeing or you have a different perspective on?
Well, I think really the reason I started using drugs is because I didn't like how I felt about myself. You know what I mean? I felt different than everybody else. I didn't feel a part of. And that's why I started using, because the first time I really got high, I felt comfortable in my own skin for once. And I tried to continue that feeling. And you know, I dealt with a lot of depression and stuff, and the past mistakes of my life, you know what I mean? And I just learned to forgive myself for what I'd done in the past, love myself, and to be part of a community of people that generally, you know, care about me and have my best interest at heart.
Yeah. How long do you think it took you to get to this point to be honest about it? Because that truth that you just said was probably true the entire time when I first started getting high, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, it takes forever to come around to the point of I do it because I don't like how I feel inside. And then my actions lead me to things that, make it harder. You know, they compound the guilt and shame, whatever you want to call that, and just compound that. And it's even harder to get out of the delusion. So when do you think you had the capacity to be honest? Like, what was the catalyst for that?
Oh, it was when I seen, okay, so people would reach out to me that are in recovery, and people I worked with that aren't even in recovery, right? They were just generally concerned. They thought I was going to die. And I would just push them away. I would be like, no, I'm fine, I'm good, I don't need to go to rehab, you know, I've got this. And when I was laying in the bed in detox, man, I was like, you know, I've been lying to myself for a whole year, you know, because I was on this self-pity thing, like, oh, these people hate me, you know, and when really they were just concerned about me and trying to help me, but I wasn't hearing it because it's all about me, you know what I mean? Like I feel bad for myself, therefore everybody else fucking don't like me, you know what I mean?
And like in detox, it came to you like, this is just bullshit?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
So what did you do differently, like from that point on?
Well, I let go of every reservation I'd ever had, you know. I know that I am an alcoholic and a drug addict 100%. You know, I can't use like a normal person. I can't drink like a gentleman. I can't do it on the weekends. You know, it's a full-time thing for me. Once I get it in my body, I know. And then I was willing to grow spiritually because I had this like aversion to religion my whole life. You know, I still do, you know what I mean? And then I'd hear God and I'd kind of cringe, you know what I mean? So then I got a sponsor, and we sat down and we talked, and he's just like, you know, you just got to be willing to believe that there's something out there. It don't have to be the God that you grew up with or, you know, any type of the religions in the world. As long as you believe in a power greater than yourself, you know, you've made the beginning.
And that was important for you.
That was very important.
Yeah. So what does that look? What does growing for you spiritually look like?
Well, I don't like to put like a name or a label on a God, you know what I mean? So it's just, I just know it's there because it's been there this whole time. You know, living on the streets, you know, going to prison, I made it out pretty much, you know, unscathed. So it's been there this whole time. And I don't know what it is yet. Maybe I will one day, but I just know that when it gets too much for me to handle, I'll, you know, give it up to it, and you know, and it's been there this whole time.
Nice. So you got a sponsor, you said, and you've worked some steps?
Yes.
Where are you at with those?
We're starting on my second 4-step.
Nice.
Yeah. And now I'm like helping other men too. I'm sponsoring dudes, and it really like, it made a whole world of difference to me, you know, giving back.
Yeah.
And I really, like, it made me really feel a part of.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that you're doing that, man. Are you, a lot of people say they get stalled up or shaky there at the 4-step or stalling there. Do you feel like you're doing that?
No. No, you know, it's always easier when everything is everybody else's fault. You know what I mean? And when you got to look at, you know, all the resentments that I've felt on people were like 95% of them were like reactions to how I treated them, you know, my own actions.
And then it makes it easier because, like, I can't carry this around.
Yeah.
We got to do something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Can we do this again with you after you complete steps, just to see where you're at, see what you're doing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, man.